Thank you all for coming, and for those of you in the room who are shareholders who've been following Banyan and have been supporting us through the years. You know, really exciting times in the Yukon. Yeah, we've had a lot of noise, and I'm going to talk about that pretty directly on what's gone on down the road with our neighbor. You're looking at our project area, though, and I'm an engineer, and I look at that. That's 7 million ounces. That's some pretty easy, moderate topography. You know, when you see these presentations with glaciers and mountains and helicopters, it always terrifies me. I look at this and I go, that's very moderate topography, actually more moderate than down the road at Victoria Gold. You'll also see in that image, there's a power line that goes right through it. It goes right to the hydro dam that's only 50 kilometers away and is connected to the grid. And super exciting news this morning from the federal government that they're investing $40 million into the studying of the connection of the BC and the Yukon grids. And I think everybody who's invested in the Yukon knows that power has been a problem. So that's a really big step forward. And it's pretty exciting for Banyan and all the other mining companies, even more so for us because we're already on the grid. Hydropower already comes right from the dam down the road. And if you were there, you'd have 4 bars in your cell phone on our project site. That's pretty unique too, and even fiber optic cable. So, you know, lots of great attribute and actually better infrastructure than Victoria Gold has down the road, or had when they built. Now here we are, we're right beside Hecla. This part of our property up here in the Mayo District, it is 173 square kilometers. We've explored less than 5% of it, and we have 7 million ounces in an inferred gold resource. That's a really significant resource. I remember when I was young, people used to say, oh, if you get 1 million ounces, you'll be significant. Not to majors anymore. If you don't have 5 million ounces, you are not tier 1. You can't even think about it. So that's what the majors told me a couple years ago. Remember, we acquired this property in 2017. We made our discovery in 2019 right beside a highway and a right under a power line. That's why we called it Power Line. So pretty exciting times. And the Yukon, there's all kinds of discoveries being made recently. Those of you, many of you have heard of Snowline out to the east. Super exciting discovery. Same style of deposit of us. Key difference is that their intrusion came right to the surface and they found it. We're in the rocks above or around our intrusion, and we haven't found our intrusion source yet. But it's certainly a blue sky target for us. But I remind people, meanwhile, we have 7 million ounces, which we think are economic, right on the surface. There you can just see the view and look at all the roads on that property. There's our 2 deposits. We made the airstrip deposit discovery first and Power Line second. Power Line's now 5 kilometers in strike length. Here you can see the block model underground. The deepest part of the pit there is 200 meters. Airstrip, we know, dips underneath Power Line. It's a replacement deposit, whereas Power Line are these same sheeted veins like you see in Sitka and Snowline. There they are with lots of visible gold. You know, I'd never think I'd hear from geologists that told me they were bored of logging visible gold, but they do. So that was a 7 million ounces. Within that, at a 0.6 cutoff, you can see 4 million ounces of a gram, and a gram's kind of a magic number. And at 0.9, 2.4 million ounces at 1.45. And that's really important, those 2 visualizations, because they're part of what our program's built on. Meanwhile, remember, we drilled a deep hole last year, 850 meters, but 650 meters vertically. This has really deep roots. We didn't drill that hole in where we thought the highest grade was. We wanted to prove that Power Line overlay airstrip. So we drilled through 400 meters of Power Line mineralization and then 250 meters of airstrip mineralization. So, you know, that you don't get credit for that in your NPV or your IRR. But when a big company comes into a jurisdiction and they see that something has deep roots, very similar to SSR's Marigold, you know, they've already down mining 1.5 kilometers, but it was what was on surface that the initial 10 to 15-year mine plan is built on. But it's that depth and the potential on the property which really makes these projects last for a very long time. And quite frankly, I've heard from corporates, they want generational investments where they're making 30 to 40-year investments in their infrastructure and the community. So that's what, you know, the top 5 reasons in this gold market to look at Banyan. $2,600 gold, you know, we are really well set up. We have that size and scale to be significant. We have a great team. You'll see our team's taken it from nothing in 2019 to now 7 million ounces. We are very efficient. You'll see 85% of our dollars get spent in the ground. We have very low G&A, and we have something called income, which is really unusual for juniors. In this year, we've made about $1.5 million. We continue to make income to the end of the year. We raised money in June, which gave us over $18 million, and we plan to end this year with a strong treasury, so we're fully funded for both our exploration, our PEA, and other work in 2025, and even through 2026 if we don't see our share price gain in appreciation. Infrastructure is hugely important. Hydropower on the property. Everyone's looking for green projects and projects that have power. We're already set up for that. And there's 2 mines beside us, which are permitted and have been in operations, which shows you it's a process that works. 25 million ounces just around our neighborhood, that is ripe for a district consolidation. So let's talk about the elephant about Victoria Gold down the road. We've heard from the Yukon government and from the receiver that they are not selling off the assets of Victoria Gold, that they do want to see the mine back into production, and they have been very focused on that. I think that's an important point. It speaks that there will be heap leach mining, not that we're heap leach. You'll see that a little bit later on, because I think we have some really compelling economics with some of our other metallurgical work, but there will be somebody who comes in and puts Eagle back into production. And I think that's a compelling story that I'll tell you in just a minute. After showing you we've got some great shareholders. You know, there's Franklin and Fidelity don't generally invest in sub-100 million market cap companies. So here we are today. We're actually at 85 million. We traded up 15% today, and I think traded up 9 or 10 with the close. So I think we're starting to see our share price certainly improve from 15 cents in June to now trading up to 25 and closing at 23.5. So hopefully the fuse has been lit a little bit, and we're the start of it. Remember, I'm a 4% shareholder, which I bought in the market, so I've got real cash in this game of around $2 million. So I intend to make my equity with my shareholders, and that's why we're so careful with our treasury. Dilution matters. We are very, very focused, and quite frankly, this is our best technical year ever. So Banyan, 7 million ounces. We're the 7th largest on-surface open pit project in North America. That's rare. And yep, if you look on the far end of the chart there, you'll see what would a synergy with somebody coming in with deep pockets buying Victoria Gold. Well, they'd already have 14 million gold ounces in resources. That's pretty rare, plus lots of exploration on both sides, particularly with Victoria Gold's Raven deposit, which has a higher grade, and I think if they'd updated it, it would have been even higher. Key thing about that is we stand in our camp and we look at those drills. You aren't going to put a mill up on the mountain across the valley from us. You're going to go over to where the flat ground and the infrastructure is. So huge synergies now, probably even a better opportunity than when Victoria Gold was trying to build a balance sheet. If truly the Yukon government is talking to somebody that is going to buy that, potentially they have deep pockets, which will be our new 11% shareholder. And I will say we're in regular communication with the receiver, and we do know that we have all kinds of people to talk to about selling that block. I know how to trade blocks of stock, so I'm not worried about that. Remember, our last financing was at 38 cents. I encourage you to read the research of Cormark and Paradigm. This year's program is really set up to add value. As I said, our best technical year ever based on the work we've done and the advisors that we have. I think we're really well positioned. We're just about to wrap up drilling 20,000 meters, which will give us news flow from results into April, along with additional metallurgical work and leading towards our PEA in 2025 by December. And we've got another funding available not only for drilling next year, but for some of those blue sky targets, which are being accelerated with a ZTEM survey and some 3D geophysics, which you can talk to me about. So almost finished that 20,000 meters. Our results are really helping us refine our geological model and move what we think is the first 2 million ounces to indicated, with maybe 400,000 to 500,000 ounces above 1.45. Right on surface mineralization, very low overburden. You can see it in that image. I won't talk about that. Metallurgy is super important. We just put this out last week with 93% from gravity CIL. Additionally, 84% from gravity and flotation, which we know we can continue to optimize by a couple percent. That work's ongoing right now. And gravity flotation only has a 3.7% mass pull, and what that means, very small tailings pond, lower capital costs, actually not that much higher than potential heap leach options. So watch for some of this. We're really focusing on optimizing the results. Lots of room to grow this. I can see 10 million ounce plan from my geologists to develop a resource within 200 meters of surface. We know how to add value. We've done it historically. 58 ounces added for every meter, $7 per ounce in exploration cost. First Nations front, something that we're working on very hard. We've had regular communications with the Development Corp of the First Nation, and we're continuing to talk to them. Their focus is power, so the new power developments are just right up the alley for what we're working on. I had my first agreement with this First Nation in 2004, and I run a charity working with communities. We've got the team. We've brought in some expertise on the mining side, both on the board as well as with Henry Marsden from Yamana. Come and talk to me about that. We've done the baseline environmental so that this project could move forward in permitting. A synergy with Victoria Gold. Nowhere else could you have potentially a 200,000 ounce producer in 1 to 2 years with their assets, and then maybe up to 400,000 or 500,000 ounces within 5 to 6 years. That's rare, especially in North America. And here's the re-rate, you know. We're currently $10 an ounce for a 7 million ounce resource with power and roads. You know, way back in 2016, Gold Corp bought the Coffee Project for $240 per ounce, and I think that's low. Remember, the Windfall acquisition just a couple weeks ago was $500 per ounce. Lots of exploration upside. We've got a whole other property off to the west. We have another project to the south, which we're looking and getting lots of interest in. So I think it's an exciting time. $2,500 gold is what I've built my career to wait for, and we're patient. We've teed this project up exceptionally well. 7 million ounces, that economy of scale, $10 an ounce right now, really de-risking it towards development. We're year-round with a strong treasury and active income in a fabulous jurisdiction that has infrastructure, and that's continuing to build upon it. So thank you, Jeff. Look at that. I even only over minorly.